Now, it's one of the biggest buzzwords in the financial space, but many people don't know how to buy it. We're talking about Bitcoin. For many in the tech industry, blockchain and cryptocurrency are the rage. But a full run circle on how they operate goes way over their heads. Latest to catch the crypto fever is unexpectedly Kodak, which just launched its own Kodak coin, a cryptocurrency for photographers. As soon as the news was announced, Kodak's stock, and as we speak, is $5.02, that is US dollars, a 60% gain. Kodak coins will work as tokens inside the new blockchain-powered Kodak One rights management platform. Say this, although the Bitcoins we know, the coin price has swung widely, the frenzy to go crypto will continue until the bubble bursts. Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, has warned that central banks and financial services need to pay closer attention to cryptocurrencies. Well, it appears what has seemed like a fringe concept is starting to gain some level of acceptance in global finance. And that's why we ask you this morning, Bitcoin, is it a bubble waiting to burst or a good investment? Bitcoin, is it a bubble waiting to burst or a good investment? Right, you can hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is a Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is a profile name on Facebook. And 20505 is our SMS portal. Right, and allow me to introduce our panelists who are here this morning to give us an understanding of what Bitcoin is all about. Right, is it just a bubble that is waiting to burst, as we've mentioned there, or is it a good investment? So, is it been going way over your head? What is this Bitcoin that people are talking about, and why is Kodak actually? We know what really happened to Kodak when they were not really going forward, or they were not really fast out of the gate in taking keen on technology. Right now, they don't want to be left behind. And to make us understand this, we have Professor Bitange Ndemo from the University of Nairobi. He's a lecturer there. Also, we do have with us Abraham Meli. He's a security expert. We do have with us as well Ali Hussein, who is a tech entrepreneur and trustee, Kenya ICT Action Network. We have Cedric Washira. He's the Secretary General of Blockchain Association of Kenya. And we have John Walubengo, who is an IT lecturer, Multimedia University of Kenya. And of course, you also can chime in. Let's get to drive the show together. You can call in, ask questions, of course, and we will also read your tweets as well. Head over to our Twitter handle, which is AM Live NTV, or our Facebook page, which is AM Live NTV as well. Right, let's just get down to brass tacks to getting to understanding what this Bitcoin is all about. We shall begin with the simplest definition of what Bitcoin is all about. And let's begin with you, Ali. Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin?
Where I sit, I think we're probably asking the wrong question.
Mm-hmm. The wrong question?
Yes.
Yes. Give us the right question.
Yes, there's been a lot of conversations around Bitcoin, but I think the right question is, what is blockchain technology? And how is this technology going to help the world move to a better place? From where I sit, I think one of the key things is, first, we must demystify the technology. What does it mean to different stakeholders? And in particular, distinguish cryptocurrencies. Now, we are talking about Bitcoin, but my brother Cedric will talk about probably two other cryptocurrencies that are getting to the same level as Bitcoin. Yes. So there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, and then there is Litecoin.
Yes.
So those are the three core main cryptocurrencies that are in play today. But I think the world is getting to what I call tulip mania syndrome. Mm-hmm. You remember what happened many years back in the Netherlands when there was the tulip mania craze. I think we're getting to a Bitcoin mania craze or blockchain mania craze. You've just mentioned Kodak.
Yes.
I mean, surely, really. Everyone and his grandmother today needs to just say, I'm starting a company, ABC Blockchain. And, you know, you just cream the market. We need to just tone down this conversation and get to the basics.
So this is what we're getting to the basics, because you say now we're actually asking the wrong question, because what is actually penciled in most Kenyans' mind is the word Bitcoin. If you talk of blockchain, they don't really understand. But of course, we are starting with the simplest so that now we can know that, yes, maybe Bitcoin is predicated on blockchain. And what is blockchain after all, right? So we have Bitcoin, we have blockchain. Let's hear from Olubengo. What is blockchain?
Okay. Just like Ali was saying, blockchain is the underlying technology that Bitcoin rides on. But because everybody is interested in Bitcoin, maybe I could also define it so that we get it off the way.
Yes.
Basically, that's just a digital currency. In other words, somebody wrote software that creates a currency called Bitcoin. There are others writing software that creates a cryptocurrency called Ethereum. And there will be millions other digital currencies coming on board. So basically, Bitcoin was created around 2008, 2009 to allow people to exchange financial value without an intermediary, without a central party. Because currently, if you want to send money from Kenya to US, you will do it through a bank. So the bank is an intermediary. So the whole idea of Bitcoin was to allow money to move without that intermediary. And the thing that made that possible is blockchain. So blockchain is the technology underpinning the Bitcoin currency. And as Ali says, blockchain is the main thing because it's going to affect all other industry other than financials. So in technical terms, a blockchain is just a group of transactions that are linked together. So a block is maybe 10 transactions form a block. And this block is connected to the previous 10 transactions, which are then connected to the previous 10 transactions. So that is the chain. And why it's important is that it makes it very difficult to change. You cannot change something in the block unless all the parties within the blockchain consortium agree. There has to be a consensus. So essentially, it creates the property of immutability. You can't change unless people agree. And that in itself is a positive property that can be ported into other industries. Yeah.
All right. So this system actually is a peer-to-peer transaction system, which is actually doing away with the clearinghouse and the central bank, so to speak. Yeah. And we don't need intermediaries in between.
Exactly.
Right. Let's hear from Bitange Demo.
I think it's good we go back several centuries on how we traded. We used to use the barter system.
Yes.
And then someone thought and said it didn't give equal value. You bring your cow, I bring my 2 sacks of maize, and we trade. And said, let's have a currency. Let's have cash. And the people had very difficult time accepting it because it was paper. But over time, we have accepted that paper represents value. What you see as a 1,000 shilling note is actually a paper. You actually don't know whether it has that value until we have the trust. We had the trust that it can represent value. And that has grown. We have seen credit cards come, we have seen other things come. Now we're at the stage of digital currencies. In this country, we use cryptocurrency so well cryptocurrency like bonga points, I mean, where is the value?
Yes.
But you can actually buy something using the bonga points. Or digital currency like M-Pesa. You actually go deposit your money with somebody and they give you an SMS. We had to trust that SMS actually represents the value of the money that I deposited somewhere. Mm-hmm. So this is growing, as Wolbengo says. Someone did some algorithm that gives us trust that actually I could pay this money through this format. And I wanted to explain so that people can fully understand.
We'll give you that opportunity.
How innovation, new innovations come. We have seen various trends. While you are debating this, it's moving forward and you lose that space where you could benefit. And that's why I'm here thinking that this country, we would ignore this new technology at our own peril.
At our own peril.
Yes.
And of course, as I've mentioned from my global intro also, that the managing director of IMF, she's saying this cannot be, just poo-pooed, and slighted away. We need to pay attention to the cryptocurrencies as well. Let's hear also from Wachira, because Wachira, you are part of the Blockchain Association of Kenya, which is a very new association here in Kenya, and you've been trading in Bitcoins as well. Tell us more about that and tell us about the association. What is it all about?
Okay. First, let me talk about the association.
Please.
The association is a strong community that strives to demystify what cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology is all about.
Yes.
We intend to be the source of truth when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Now, the association is made up of various individuals from different backgrounds. We have financial technology professionals. We have academia. We have entrepreneur and investors amongst our midst. So the role of the association basically is to interact with the different members of the society. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to answer a question that you asked.
Yes.
Is Bitcoin a bubble? Is it a good investment? I think we first need to understand what is a bubble.
Yes.
An economic bubble. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's when an asset trades at a price that strongly exceeds its intrinsic value.
Yes.
What do I mean? If I want to buy shares for Nation Media Group, for example, I have to look at fundamentals like what is your annual turnover, what profits are you making,
Yes.
The number of shares in the market. So Bitcoin is not a bubble. Bitcoin is a good investment. It's a good investment.
Yes. But of course, we know it swings widely, the prices. Yeah, like we've seen Kodak today, after maybe they announced their Kodak coin, also they're stocked, it has actually skyrocketed. But if there are shivers and fears, you'll explain that to us. People don't really understand Bitcoin and there's a shake-up a bit. People tend also to withdraw, and that also makes also that particular graph to, zigzag. But let's hear, because if we have this particular concept that is not predicated under any regulation, that is just open, it is peer-to-peer, also people like terrorists are bound to also take advantage of this as well, where we know money laundering also is big in this country, who are financing terrorists in this country as well. But let's hear from Abraham Meli today. Bitcoin, what sort of threat is it posing when it comes to security?
Okay. The greatest threat in Bitcoin trading and transfer of electronic money will bring an impact on how the government will regulate transfers of cash or Bitcoins through financial institution or electronic transfer. So what will happen is that it's a challenge for a government to regulate it because it doesn't have a server that a government can go and shut it down and analyze it to know actually who transacted what. But what will happen is government need to come up with regulations to support the technology because Bitcoin is unstoppable.
Yes.
So the only way is to come up with legislation so that we can have a very strong financial reporting center, and we can empower the financial reporting center so that they can investigate and prosecute all the criminals that are taking advantage of the technology to fund terror and other criminal activities. Mm-hmm. On the other risk on the sellers and the buyers of the Bitcoin is that as much as the cryptocurrency doesn't have a server, if an hacker can hack your financial or the e-wallet on the cryptocurrency, it would be hard for you to have your money refunded. The other thing is, once you send the money through the encryption system, you cannot retrieve it back because it doesn't have a the way in cryptocurrency is transacted, mm-hmm. It's a form of codes. So there is no way you can recover your money. So that is the risk part of it.
So you cannot recover your
Yes, money. You cannot recover.
All right, let us hear from Ali.
Okay. I think first I would like to demystify this conversation around terrorism and how Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies are enabling terrorism and all that. Look.
But can we hold on to that?
Yes.
Because I think we need to go systematically to understand first of all what Bitcoin is all about and how also it's posing to be a threat to terror or threat to security as well here in the country. So once we understand what Bitcoin is all about, you've mentioned blockchains, you've mentioned also currency, or there is currency mining that you need to tell us as well. Then we'll go systematically also to terrorism as well. Right. But let's hear from you, John. When we talk about there is currency mining, let me first of all ask this question, because I think Professor Bitange Ndemo said we started with the barter trade, then we had also the paper. But it is so hard for anyone, especially people who are very touchy-feely and tactile, they want to feel something, to actually, consider or wrap their minds around, Bitcoin itself, because this is a virtual currency that we're talking about. So it is just hanging there in the air.
They're doing it in M-Pesa.
They're doing it in M-Pesa. Yes. But at least, they say that it is on my phone. Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah, but Bitcoin is also on your phone.
Bitcoin is, yes, but it's still, you're stashing a lot of money there. So at least, and the concept of this is, you have Safaricom or Airtel or whichever other firm that you actually can go to. But now this is money which is put out there. And as I said, once you put it, you cannot now retrieve it.
Yeah. I want to agree with you, because whereas we have M-Pesa and other virtual money, you find that M-Pesa is based on the government currency. You get?
Yes.
The M-Pesa that I have on my phone is tied to the 5,000 shillings I deposited in some M-Pesa agent. So at the end of the day, the government really knows how much I have. But if you look at Bitcoin, it's really not tied to any government currency. So to some extent, it is more virtual than M-Pesa. It's actually a software-generated coin that the software designer decided that in the life of Bitcoins, we're going to have 21 million Bitcoins, full stop, and that's not going to change. And with those 21 million Bitcoins, the designer decided that there's going to be a way in which portions of the 21 million Bitcoins are going to go into circulation. Okay, so to some extent, the software is taking over the role of central bank, because every so often it releases currency into circulation. And how does that happen? It happens as a reward to people who mine the Bitcoins. There's a group of computers that are able to solve a complex puzzle, mathematical puzzle, and in response, the software rewards them Bitcoins. Currently, I think the rate of reward is 12.5 Bitcoins. If your computer solves that complex problem, the system rewards you 12.5 bitcoins, which then go into circulation of the Bitcoin economy. So the miners, their role is simple, to validate transactions.
Validate transactions. All right.
So if Anne sends money to Tom, how do you make sure that Anne has not sent the same digital money to David? You need to broker that to make sure that Anne does not do what we call double spend. And to avoid that double spending or cheating, you have to solve a mathematical problem, which then allows you to update the blockchain. And for that, you get a reward.
All right. Yeah. Shall we take a short break? When we circle back, of course, we will begin with you, Ali. Not really a bubble or a bust of Bitcoin. A bubble waiting to burst or a good investment? That is the question that we're asking you this morning. Here is on Twitter. AM Live NTV is our Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is our profile name on Facebook. And 20505 is our SMS portal. Once again, Bitcoin, a bubble waiting to burst or is a good investment? We continue apace with the discussion with the panelists who are here. We have Tangen Demo, who is a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, also the former principal or permanent secretary in the Ministry of Information. Also, we do have with us Cedric Wachira, who is the General Secretary of Blockchain Association of Kenya. We have Abraham Meli, who is a security expert. Also, we have Ali Hussein, who is a member of trustee of the ICT Kenya and also an entrepreneur. Also, we do have with us John Walubengo, who is a lecturer at the Multimedia University. We continue apace with the discussion. Before we took a short break, Ali, we were to come back and start with you.
What I was saying, I think one of the critical issues that must be addressed beyond the Bitcoin is, one, the hullabaloo is all about the new thing in the market. To take on from where my brother Walubengo was explaining about how miners operate and why miners are critical to the blockchain and Bitcoin ecosystem. These guys simply play a critical role in ensuring that transactions within the blockchain are executed. There is some level of immutability, as he talked about. Now, when you have a system that seems to append or sort of change the way things are done, you definitely then have powers that are within the ecosystem that feel threatened by such, allow me to use the word, disruption. So from a centralized ledger or a centralized authority, you now have a decentralized platform. Okay, so if you look at the financial sector, which is one of the most often used use cases for blockchain,
yes,
you normally have a central bank that operates a clearinghouse. And then now, every financial transaction must go through that central bank.
yes.
What we are now saying is that there is potentially a cheaper and more efficient way to do this, the decentralized ledger. Now, that's not to say that the central banker's role gets disused or they get off the ecosystem at all. In fact, the biggest central bankers in the world today, from the US to Europe to Singapore to Dubai, are already starting to seriously think about how they can use blockchain technology to de-risk the financial sector. So this conversation around blockchains and bitcoins giving terrorists and money laundering more legroom and more runway to operate, I think is a fallacy.
It's a fallacy.
It's a fallacy. What we need to do is engage with the technology. Engage it in a positive way. I'm not for this conversation around bubbles, because it detracts from the main conversation around how disruptive, positively disruptive, because the word disruptive sometimes is used in a negative way, how positively disruptive blockchain technology can be to our lives. From where I sit, I think since the internet arrived and it became the thing that everybody is using today, there is no other technology that has the same potential to change the world than blockchain technology. Let's look at something as simple as our, well, not so simple if you consider from a Kenyan perspective, on a light note, our land registry.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the registry for 1 minute. You have a situation where a Kenyan or 3-4 Kenyans can have one original title deed. How does that happen? How does that happen? Now, yes, or car registration. Now, when you're talking about the immutability of blockchain technology,
yes,
you're talking about, I like to use the word incorruptible digital ledger, because when we use that word, we Kenyans understand that better. It's an incorruptible digital ledger that records financial transactions or any other transaction of value. And it is, I would say, almost incorruptible, because let's be fair.
So
and let's be truthful.
You cannot fudge accounts with it.
You can't fudge.
You cannot say the computer error. This is,
you can't
it is a system
fudge.
error.
You can't fudge. And you see, when you're talking about this whole conversation around crowdsourcing,
yes,
you're talking about how do you collude with somebody you've never met or you'll never meet.
All right. Okay, let's say from Abraham Meli, because you say, of course, this also is a potential, conduit of transmitting money laundering and all that jazz. Maybe you can clarify, because it seems to say, no, I disagree with this. Just give us a full scope of it.
Yeah, I disagree at some point about, you see, government all the time regulates the money transfers. That is why we have the anti-money laundering bill. So the issue of cryptocurrency and the terror in our community today, which actually poses a threat, is when we have a seamless way of sending money from this criminal to this other criminal, it's really a serious threat to our country. So what I'll say is that as much as we embrace technology, as much as technology makes our life easier, the way computer, emails, and other things came, I think the greatest way to manage cryptocurrency is to have a proper legislation. Though government cannot control actually the transfers and the identity of the people involved, but we can have a proper legislation to curb the criminals of having a soft spot in transferring the activities across our country.
Right. Let's say from Washira, we want just to get also an idea, how has been the uptake maybe of the Bitcoins? Now you've been, I think, also in this trade for around 3 years?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me say that a lot of young people are really into this technology, and specifically on the cryptocurrency. So what has happened is that we've created a sort of a new line of employment. There's a huge number of unemployment individuals in this country. So this, with the cryptocurrency, has created an avenue for employment.
Yes.
Whereby you find people are doing what you call trading, for example. I also belong to a group of guys who want to start doing mining locally.
The currency mining?
Yes,
Yes.
Cryptocurrency mining. So what the association is trying to do basically, we're trying to get government support to reduce, for example, the cost of electricity. We want to have a cryptocurrency friendly government kind of relationship. That's what the association is trying to do. So I've seen people from the diaspora using Bitcoin as a source of remittance,
yes,
sending money. Instead of using Western Union or using an intermediary party to transfer funds from one point to the other. I've seen people embracing cryptocurrency to do that. So yeah, the uptake is coming in from different angles. People are really appreciating what cryptocurrency can do for them.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's get to demonstration so that we can get to understand, and we'll drill deeper. We want to know how it works, and I will also allow Professor to just go there on the board to tell us more about that. You can use demonstrations, and so we can learn and ask questions. So all of us, especially me, I'm a student today. I get to learn as well. All right.
I stand here or?
Yeah, you can actually. Yeah, on this other side, I think it's okay. So,
Yeah.
this other side. Yeah, this other side.
Yeah. All I'm trying to show is that over a number of years, most of us have seen waves in technology.
Yes.
So let's say the first one was, I'm going to use somebody called Everett Rogers' theory of diffusion of technology. How technology comes, how we adopt, and how it declines.
Yes.
At the decline level is where you begin to talk about burst. But you are going to see seesaw, the prices going up and down, but that doesn't mean there is a bust. So from the beginning, you have something like this. The first of the wave we had was internet.
Yes.
Internet came, we were doubtful, we couldn't adopt to it, and the time we were doubting, others were making money. Usually when something new comes, you have techies working on it. And then you have what you call the early adopters. Huh? Yeah? And then in the end, you have majority, and then you have laggards here. Yeah? When you come in as a laggard,
Yes.
is that you have no option, and there is no advantage you take on this side. So when this one was going up, we got the mobile. The mobile technology came,
Yes.
you know, and mobile actually relied mostly on the internet. It came. We have gone through early. We have gone through here. We are somewhere here on the mobile technology. Actually, it's almost beginning, to use your word, to burst. Because you see...
Which Ali doesn't want to hear.
You see technologies like WhatsApp, which may replace voice, the current way we understand it. So something new must come up. So now, the other technology that is just coming is blockchain. We have no choice but to use this technology. We've been talking about corruption, we've been talking about whatever. This is where blockchain would help us, and we have just gone past techies. We have gone to early adopters. That's how you get Kodak. Early adopters, the government of Dubai. Early adopters, the Chicago Board of Exchange. Early adopters,
Belarus.
like the accounting firms, Belarus. So we are now beginning to get early adopters. And what happens with early adopters, they actually get premium, because while others are doubting, they are actually getting premium returns on their investments. So for us to remain and wait to come in as laggards, we have destroyed the whole country. And it can't help us to do that, because this is actually, again, talking about risk tolerance. How much risk can you tolerate? If you can't buy two Bitcoins, you can buy one. Yeah? The government cannot go ahead of innovation. Innovation goes ahead, and then they come with regulation. If you look at the government of the UK, they have done so much work around blockchain. What Meli has said on theft around blockchain, if the government wants to trace, they will get all the data. We can't look at blockchain in isolation from the emerging technologies like big data analytics. The central bank must now get into analyzing big data. In Kenya, how many people with cryptocurrency, where are they using it? Then you can have appropriate legislation. But we can't blanketly dismiss this. So other countries are looking at actually making it a legal tender. That's all I wanted to show, that there is no purple, there is no bust.
Before you see it, let's go to the laggards, because we had a case in point about Kodak.
Yes.
And Kodak, we know, embracing technology also was a bit they were a bit
they
apprehensive.
They
learned, isn't it?
Yes.
They were on the laggard side.
Yes.
But right now, they're actually the first ones who are going for this Bitcoin itself.
In entrepreneurship, we say, when you fail, you actually learn from failure. They don't want to ever be laggards like they were with their camera when the engineer came and said, there is a digital camera, just after they had invested heavy around the film. And they lost very heavy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Professor.
Yeah.
Can we demystify?
Can we hear from John? It's fairly silent, then we'll come to you. John, yeah. You want to demystify yourself? Yeah, looking at that particular graph that we've been shown there, where we started and how it is, of course, on top there, on the cusp, is where we are debating about the bubble bursting or is a good investment as well. Where you sit, maybe we can finalize on this. Is it a good investment? Is it a bubble?
Okay. I'm sort of on the techie side, but I can tell you that the purpose of Bitcoin was, from the designer, was not really to create money. In other words, Bitcoin network was originally not an investment network. I mean, even internet originally was not what it's being used for today. So it's fine. But originally, the creator of Bitcoin had a simple task. How can I send money from point A to point B the same way you send an email? That was the intention. Now, around when he solved, or she, we don't know who it is, when they solved that problem, other entrepreneurs came on the board. And what we're witnessing in the press now is the business, fallout out of that solution. Basically, people created exchanges, currency exchanges. If you have one Bitcoin and you want dollars, how do you do the conversion? So you create currency converters coming onto the scene. And what is now causing the bubble, from where I sit, is that there's a lot of dollars chasing very limited Bitcoins. So that increases the value of the Bitcoin and tries to get everybody speculating and jumping into the ship. And that again reacts and raises up the value, in quotes, of Bitcoin according to the demand. So what we're witnessing is just the normal ups and downs of supply and demand. And as Ali had mentioned earlier, it takes away the value of blockchain. Why? Because financial use of blockchain in form of Bitcoin is just one use case. There are millions of other use cases we could find in lands registry, in voting, in health, in shipping. Blockchain has a huge role in that space, more than what we're seeing getting people excited about.
Especially now when we are concerned with cybersecurity. And it's much more it's much more secure. It's not easy to get into it where you can where you can create problems is at the individual level, my own password to get into it. But in itself, you would have to control 50% of the computers in order to
To manipulate.
To manipulate. Let's say from, before we come to you, Ali, Abraham, first of all, you're talking about the money laundering bit that we wanted just to also get to understand. Because, Ali, we know about the Panama Papers, yeah? And of course, people now stashing away the money, they're salting away the good cash in banks, you know, without the country. First of all, how sure are we that people, especially in a country as Kenya, where we are rife in corruption, that yes, if I have and I've collected or I've stolen from the public coffers, I can actually stash away this money in Bitcoins, and no one will trust it. Isn't that also a threat to our security? Because yes, we have corruption.
Everybody sees who is there.
Everybody sees who is there,
Yes.
but you cannot tell the source of where he got the money. Yeah, so I wanted just to get an understanding, because I think also that can be another Panama Papers sort of scandal for everyone. That I steal from this government, then I stash it away on Bitcoin. No one can trust it because I use pseudonyms. Because you don't use your real names, isn't it?
Yes. In cryptocurrency, you cannot actually trace the source and the where it's going.
Yes.
Because you will have, because there is no actually an IP address. You see, an IP address is normally a best way of tracing the origin of a certain transaction or an email.
Yes.
So having a cryptocurrency now in place, government cannot, or any other security entity cannot penetrate. You cannot hack it. It's so difficult. The only simple instances where someone can browse using a normal user, a normal browser, is the only way an hacker can steal your e-wallet and transact on your behalf. Otherwise, having a government entity or an individual tracking your financial system, it is so difficult. You cannot hack it.
You cannot hack it.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you had asked earlier about how simple and how the older system of the currency that is controlled by the central bank is that, you see, when you want to send money, let's say 1 million shillings, you have to declare it. What is the purpose of the payment? And that way, we can have a tracking of whatever you want to. So if you had to pluck out 1 million shillings and put it into a cryptocurrency, that is the end of the tracking. So that is why I'm talking at the point of security issue. Because right now, a terrorist can send 100 million. In 15 seconds, you have that money in Syria. And that is it.
Ali started denying this. He's still saying no. There
is a huge misconception here.
I'm not if you can allow me.
Okay.
I'm not saying that cryptocurrency
I'm sorry, I thought
is
you
a
had
bad
finished.
way
I thought you
of
had
transacting money. Cryptocurrency is a new way of doing things. The way internet came and other things I said earlier. But we need to have a good way. As much as we enjoy the cryptocurrency and digital money transfer in 15 seconds, let's think about security.
Let's think
It's about security.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's address this issue about money laundering and Bitcoin and terrorism and all that. Fact. Physical money is actually more anonymous and harder to track than Bitcoin. Fact. Go check it anywhere. Number two, before you start trading on Bitcoin, and you have to get
money from somewhere.
my brother here will tell you, first, you have to have KYC.
Yes.
Know your customer. There has to be, there is a know your customer exchange that you have to go through. All right? The fact of the matter is that it is easier to track money via a Bitcoin exchange than hard cash. Fact. Can I finish?
Yeah, you just finish.
Please. Look, the fact of the matter, again, is this. Traditional financial systems are more used for money laundering and terrorism financing than Bitcoin. That's also a fact. There are, you actually have databases tracking those things. You can check those. The good thing today, you can fact check me right now as we are discussing this. Mm-hmm. So let's demystify this. First, I'm not saying that Bitcoin cannot be used by terrorists. What I'm saying is that terrorists don't necessarily use Bitcoin to make transfers. They have ways of doing this.
But we cannot underestimate also the use of using technology.
What I'm trying to say is this. People are using the fear of terrorism to distract from the main usage of Bitcoin. And that's why I'm trying to say we're asking the wrong question.
The wrong question. All right, fine. I don't want us to embroil this debate, first of all, on terrorism and security, first of all, before we get to understand what Bitcoin and how exceedingly beneficial it can be for the viewers. Right. Yeah, because we want to understand. You've given us a very good background on where we started, Professor. But we want to also get now to the concept of blockchain. What is it all about? Because I understand, yes, I can actually use my computer as a source of making money. Right, so it becomes a mining field for the cryptocurrency, where people, the algorithms actually can actually be taking, it's actually background work on my computer just by working. You mentioned electricity. We know how the country is grappling also with electricity. So how is the whole concept of electricity? Will it be also using a lot of electricity or not? So I want also to give this chance also to John to just walk over to our smart screen. And you can actually talk to us and tell us what blockchain is all about as it walks over there. We'll just take camera 4, please, so that... Yes, there you are.
Okay, so basically...
You can use that camera, it is your camera.
Oh, that's on it?
Yeah.
Basically, I want to demonstrate to the viewers the process in which Alice sends 2 Bitcoins to Bob. There's a lot of background processes that happens to make sure that that transaction is successful.
Yeah, let's see if we can expand it a bit so that... Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that will be good. We start up so I can move it.
You can actually...
I could do one if you can expand the first bit. Yeah, like this.
Like that, huh? Okay.
Does it scroll up?
No. I think it will drop. So just use this.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Fine. So I was saying, I sit this side. Okay. Let me stand this side. So Alice has 2 Bitcoins, and she wants to send that currency to Bob. Bob could be anywhere in the world, because as I said, the creator of Bitcoin, somebody called Satoshi, intention was to facilitate financial value transfer. And so he or she created a coin called Bitcoin. It's a digital coin. And it allows Alice to send that value to Bob the same way you would send an email from point A to point B. So Alice has a wallet, a Bitcoin wallet, the same way Bob has. And so they can send money between themselves just the same way you do with M-Pesa. But unlike M-Pesa, there are other players in between, one of which is called a miner. Somebody who mines is the one who decides whether the transaction that Alice is making ends up being on what we call the blockchain. The blockchain is that database that cannot be changed. Once that transaction enters the blockchain, nobody can change it. Why? Because it's mathematically related. This block is mathematically related to the previous so many blocks all the way to the beginning of Bitcoin. So for you to change something in this blockchain, you need a lot of computing power to do so, because the miners are actually using a lot of computing power to validate a transaction.
And that's where the concept of electricity comes in.
Exactly.
All right.
Because to program trust, you know, I'd say that we're moving an intermediary out of the system. So as you move an intermediary out of system, you must replace it with another system. And that system of coding trust requires that for a transaction to be validated, there's a lot of, what Satoshi did is to challenge, to give anybody a challenge, a mathematical puzzle. Look for a random number that satisfies this condition. And so people start the race. They're not, I mean, anybody can mine. It's an open field. You can join, you can leave. So anybody with computing power can compete to solve that problem. And once you solve the problem, you advertise it to the network. So it's a peer-to-peer network. So that your peers can confirm that you actually solved that problem.
Yes.
Because there are miners who want to cheat. So the peers will catch them at that moment. Whatever you claim to be the solution has to be shared on the network, and the other peers confirm that the solution you have found is actually the correct one. Only then will that transaction of Alice sending money to Bob is entered into the blockchain, and it becomes an immutable record of what has happened. For somebody to change that, they will need the equivalent amount of effort, computing power, to be able to change what is in the blockchain. And what Satoshi did is to make sure that the amount of power needed to cheat is not beneficial. The amount of money you want to steal is not worth the effort of stealing. And that's what makes the blockchain reliable, because the incentive to steal exceeds, the penalty to steal is far higher than the reward. As I mentioned earlier, if your solution is accepted, you are rewarded. So you have to decide, do you want 12.5 bitcoins for doing the right thing, or do you want to spend money chasing small money of stealing?
All right.
So that balance is very critical. And so now, once that has been confirmed into the system, the money is now transferred to Bob. And Bob, using currency exchange, can liquidate that money into Kenya shillings, dollars, or whatever fiat currency there is. That's how it works in the financial sector. But this whole model can be moved into other industries. Land registry, for example. You can imagine if we had a system that could give you the single source of truth about a particular land transaction. That Walubengo sold land to Professor Ndemo on such and such a date 3 years ago. Hardwired here. There is no way Walubengo can sell the same land to Ali, for example. Why? Because the peers in that network will pick it up. They will realize, hey, from my blockchain records, this land was sold 3 years ago, and it's trying to be sold again. So it's not going to work. And all this is happening without a central agency trying to do the clearing and the forwarding.
So the blockchain there acts as the ledger that is being used, being used in the bank, actually.
They call it a distributed ledger.
Decentralized ledger.
It's decentralized, it's distributed ledger.
Public
And it's public. So every peer in the network has a copy. So it becomes harder to cheat. There are some applications that require what we call a private blockchain. So there are people experimenting with that.
Okay.
Whereby you don't want to have it too open. You know, for example, the central banks of some countries are experimenting with blockchain from the perspective of getting the efficiency of it without opening it up too much. For example, if I'm KCB,
yes,
I just want only KCB customers to participate in this blockchain. So that becomes a permission blockchain, not permissionless. So you can still benefit from blockchain without going the full hog of what Bitcoin has done, which is open to anybody and everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe you have a question for Walubengo? Any of you in regard to this?
Comment.
A comment?
I think my brother Walu, as we call him, has just hit it.
He's nailed it.
He's nailed it totally. He's nailed it. Now, for me, this drives to this next conversation. All right, you have this beautiful configuration of things that are actually happening the world over. And the use cases are so many, and the potential is mind-boggling. And all we are focusing is on one particular thing, Bitcoin. Are you seeing where I'm coming from? Yes. I mean, this guy has just explained it. Now, I would like our next conversation to be, now that we understand this Bitcoin.
How can we extrapolate it to other
industries?
For me, with all due respect to my brother from the blockchain association, my question, which is something that I'm always talking about, is if you compare the blockchain conversation with the internet, you know, do people trade the internet? Do you trade the internet? Or do you use the internet to trade? As Solemdo will say, tafakari hayo.
Yababu.
Yababu. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You
have a question for...
I just wanted to add some of the...
Please.
You look at the people of Zimbabwe for quite some time. They had hyperinflation. This technology would have actually helped them to store value instead of, you know, in the morning people used to buy bread just to store the value and resell it in the afternoon. That's why I normally say some of the weaker currencies probably will be replaced where people find easier ways of storing value.
All right, maybe the question that I will ask also is we've got a demonstration, but I wanted to know, you need to download an app. That is what we've not been told. I'm giving you need to download an app, maybe using your iOS or the Android. Yes, then I need a wallet as well.
Yeah.
So what is this wallet and what is this download? Where do I download? Which particular website do I go to? These are the questions that our viewers need to know this morning, because I can see questions here. How does one also get the Bitcoins? All right, how do we exchange the currencies? You know, there's a lot of understanding that we need to put out there for our viewers as well.
We still have to use the bank.
We still have to use the bank.
This is why I was saying that government shouldn't be worried, because you still have to.
So the future of bank, I thought now that we have cryptocurrency, we don't need the bank, then the future of banking also is teetering on the edge.
Yes.
Let Prof finish, then we come to you.
To buy that currency, even from the association itself, they have a bank account where you deposit the money, then they transfer that value into Bitcoin. So you still have to use the banks. Even when you want cash from Bitcoin, you still need the bank to give you, if the transactions are much larger than the small ones.
So this is not a threat to the banking sector at all?
No.
John?
I think, for me, the threat is there, but it depends on the usage. Like I said, the original use case for Bitcoin was to move value from one point to the other. Right now, people are focusing on storing value, speculating for it to grow, and then selling. You know, the typical Kenyan model of buying mugunda, you sit on it for 2 years and you sell.
Yes.
So if people stick on that model of store value,
Yes.
then the banks are safe.
Okay.
But if you kind of make Bitcoin common currency, if I want to buy mboga from Mama Mboga, I just do Bitcoin to her, then there's that risk that the banks will definitely be out of.
Let's hear from Washira, because now we have the Blockchain Association. You actually are with it. You are practically doing it. How do I go about now registering?
Okay, first of all,
yes.
What is Bitcoin? Is it something tangible? Is it something intangible? So Bitcoin basically is it's numbers associated with an internet address. Mm-hmm. Okay? So for you to acquire that, you can either receive it as a form of payment, you can either use traditional financial services, which is fiat currency, to acquire Bitcoins. So once there are places where you can do that. There are self-service places where you can do that. We have what we call P2p Markets. The most common one in Kenya is called Belfrix.
Yes.
So you can actually go create a profile, the same way you will create a Facebook page profile. Mm-hmm. You enter your KYC details. Then after that, you can be able to... KYC details. Yes. Then after that, you can be able to identify a seller or a buyer. Depends on which side you are. Mm-hmm. Now, once you've identified a seller or a buyer, again, you have to complement that whole process with the traditional financial service. You have to use a bank. Okay? So this technology, this currency is not here to replace banking. And I'll tell you something. Up to yesterday, we have over 1,400 different cryptocurrencies or digital currencies.
Here in Kenya?
In the world.
In the world. They're not, okay, 850 almost.
1,400.
1,000.
In excess of that.
Yeah, okay.
So what happens is that these currencies have been created for different purposes. Bitcoin has grown to a level whereby it can be viewed as a store of value, like what John was saying. We have another currency called, for example, Ripple. Ripple is used to conduct aspects of payments and remittances. So this is a function that is moving away from traditional banking systems.
All right. Okay. And we want also to get to hear what other countries are doing. If my cameraman may just come closer with the auto cue so that I can get to tell you also what Russia and Venezuela officials are doing. And they are hoping that virtual currencies can help their countries make an end run around American sanctions. Both governments with ambitions to create state-sponsored cryptocurrencies are looking to take advantage of a promise that Bitcoin introduced to the world financial system, a new kind of money and financial infrastructure outside the control of any central authority, particularly the United States. The Russian and Venezuelan plans may sound outlandish, even in the financial wild west of Bitcoin, but it online's competitors. Let's hear what they had to say. So people out there, of course, Russia, Venezuela, they're actually embracing the technology. Well over also, we know that, yes, people are embracing this technology. Also, Christine Lagarde had this to say as well. It's too expensive for Lagarde. Factually. Let's hear from Washira. You wanted to weigh in on that, what she said.
There's a comment I missed out. There's a comment I wanted to say earlier on Prof's curve. What I can say is that right now we are at the bottom of this titration curve.
We are at the laggards. On the other end? Or
we are at the bottom, yeah.
At the bottom?
We are at the early stage.
Early stage, yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
I agree.
So what is happening right now, if you look at a country like Japan and Australia, they have decided to be Bitcoin friendly. They have started to sort of regulate some aspects of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Okay? So this is what we need. Coming back to Kenya, a few days ago I saw something on the dailies about CBK in some row on printing money or something. We would like to see CBK going ahead and allocating, let's say, like 10% of that kind of capital in something to do with cryptocurrency.
All right.
You know?
Let's hear from Abraham. Listening to Christine Lagarde, of course, also talking about Kenya, runaway success with M-Pesa, of course, with also iTax that we normally submit online as well, that she mentioned. But she says also, we as worldwide, we're not supposed to be Luddites. We should take up the advantage. Let us not lag behind. Let's move on.
Yeah, cryptocurrency is here to stay, and cryptocurrency is a new wave of technology in our society today. So let's embrace it and let's have proper registration. The way my friend said about Australia, they have already rolled out a framework on how they can manage the digital currency in a productive way.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Ali.
For me, the one thing that I would like to say is for people who are starting to look at trading in Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies, they need to ask themselves some very basic questions. How much do we understand in this space? Before you venture into, engage with the likes of the Blockchain Association of Kenya. Read up. There are key issues here. Is cryptocurrency a currency or is it a store of value? The answer to that right now is probably both. Eventually, you probably see this evolving. I would like to sort of compare the revolutionary aspects of blockchain to the internet. Dr. Ndemo talked about, he really demonstrated this well. You must understand who the players are first. Because if you don't understand the players and you're just, let us not be ships being herded straight into the slaughterhouse before we understand what it is we are getting ourselves into. This is a hugely positively disruptive space we are in today. So if you compare blockchain and you compare, say, the internet, okay, because for me, I actually see blockchain technology as that revolutionary. You have players within the internet that actually govern the whole internet governance space.
Yes.
And you have the same players in the blockchain space. You have miners, you have traders, you have companies that are using the technology to companies, organizations, and governments who are using the technology for value transactions. And I'm using value as opposed to financial because we need to move beyond the financial and talk about value. So before you get into this trading conversation, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm saying equip yourself. The power of information and the power of knowledge is more critical than having money in your pocket, because let me tell you, there is no greater way to remove money from a fool than somebody who does not understand what he's doing. He's doing it because everybody else is doing it.
Right. Thank you. Let's hear from Professor.
Yes, all I want to say is that partly I feel very proud that I was part of the people who created the first virtual currency globally with help of the former president, the late Michuki, governor of central bank. This is the level of risk-taking we must begin to take in order to take leadership in the world. There is no going back on this thing, cryptocurrency. So we actually need to be the first country to create a legal tender out of this. And you begin to see the unraveling of the entire thing. There is no, in my view, there is no risk at the moment the government declaring cryptocurrency as a legal tender in this country. And then you begin to see Kenya marketing itself, like you see Christine Lagarde proudly talking about Kenya using the virtual currency. It's already being used.
It's already being used.
We are already using it.
I think so there are conversations which are ongoing, in the upper reaches of government so far as this is concerned. I think even next week they're going to be meeting on this as well, because I tried to reach out to some of the officials to join us this morning, and they don't want to preempt as what they are planning to do right now as far as the Bitcoin is concerned. But you mentioned there's one person here who's not being credited And is it a messiah, an angel that came and then he disappeared? That is Satoshi Nakamoto, right? He is actually the person who came up with, who moted this idea of Bitcoin, right? And for a while, people, they thought this is a scam on the net. They never really, you know, lapped up the idea. But he just came, introduced it, then he disappeared. Why is he a mystery man? When you're talking about security, and of course, we wonder, Satoshi, where he is right now, is watching what is happening. So is he up to any good? That he just disappeared, and we don't want to get credit on this as well, right? Let's hear from John, then we'll come to Ashira.
First, Satoshi may actually be a she, so we don't know. But Satoshi published a paper, academic paper, a white paper on Bitcoin. It's just 6 pages, brilliant stuff, where he or she put out the whole discourse of blockchain. Of course, from the perspective of financial use case. So what is important is that paper actually gave birth to what we're discussing today. And why Satoshi, he or she, or many people believe it's several of them. Studies have been done on the initial emails that Satoshi was sharing with a group of developers. And from the email analysis, it looks like Satoshi may be a group of researchers or a group of people. It's not necessarily one person, but it's still out there for people to speculate. But for me, I am more interested in what Satoshi gave the world than who he is. The fact that he or she remains anonymous does not take away the academic strengths of what they published that is now driving the whole industry. Thank you. Right.
Let's just prepare our final remarks as we are winding up. So people are asking, I can read some of the tweets here. I can see a lot of interest in why is BT the currency of dark web? I don't know what dark web is, and drug traffickers. I don't get it. That's what we have from St. Joseph. Also, we have Sir. If you maybe just pick up on this on the smart screen so that people can read as well. The internet is a giant network that is governed by protocols, apples, and oranges. We have Alex Mwangi, I should say. Well, I see more sites on darknets, BitTorrent asking for payment in Bitcoin, right? Scammers, people who, because I think it's important to mention that people who ask also that if you give us this money, we can refund. It is money back guarantee. Then that is also a hallmark for a fraud when it comes to Bitcoin. I think it's important to mention that as well. Let's see also, we have Kafoi. Thank you, it says, for such an informative show on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain tech. Big up to us. We thank you also, Kafoi. Ochuka says that China, South Korea are cracking on cryptocurrency, and we need to learn from them and threat it poses to them. Also, we have White Oak Inc. saying, having been a trader for 1 year, I can confirm cryptocurrencies is the new wave. That is what we have White Oak saying there. And also we have Njenga uploading us saying, excellent discourse on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, very useful and educative, as opposed to the usual clanging symbols of politics, political discussions, in my view. Right, as we're winding up, so I have my phone with me. I want to get started. How do I go about it? Let's pose this to Washira. First, by joining a blockchain association as a trader.
So first of all, you need to download a wallet.
Download a wallet?
Yes.
Where do I download a wallet? Is there any particular website?
It depends with the device that you're using.
Depending with my device.
Are you an Android user? Are you a Mac user?
A Mac user.
So if you're a Mac user, you go to the Mac store.
You go to the Mac store.
Android
user?
From there, you can choose from a wide variety of wallets available.
Okay.
The most common one is called Mycelium.
Mycelium?
Yes. So you can download it onto your phone. There are some things that you need to do. The same way when you're downloading an application into your phone, it has to know who the owner of the phone is, for recovery and security purposes.
Yes.
So once you've done that, the next thing is for you to have some fiat currency somewhere. It can be on M-Pesa, it can be in your bank account. Then after that, you can go to an online marketplace where you have buyers and sellers. Identify a buyer, and the mode of payment that you're comfortable with, and the pricing. Once that is possible, you can conduct your transaction. You send them what we call a wallet address, a unique identifier. And once the transaction is finished, you get your Bitcoins deposited into your wallet.
That's it.
That's it.
Fantastic.
As simple as ABCD.
Simple as ABCD. So I want to give you a chance to... yeah.
Blockchain info.
Blockchain info.
That gives you the wallet and a lot more.
So you go to, you just check, hit
Google blockchain.info. It's got
Blockchain.info.
everything. It doesn't matter which device, Mac, Android.
Thank you.
The wallet you have there is multi-purpose.
Thank you. Your closing remarks, Ali.
I think for me, I would just like to emphasize again, just like the internet, there are players in the whole blockchain Bitcoin ecosystem. Understand those players. Equip yourself with information before you venture into the trading aspects of it.